Well, hello everyone. I'd like to show you my little workshop where I restore my relics. Just on the workbench at the moment we see we've got a couple of 18-pounder shell cases and some nose caps and some primer covers down there. And the two main tools are these two bench grinders. The first one is a 150 watt bench grinder. It's got a nylon polishing wheel on the left and a much finer polyurethane polishing wheel on the right. The next one along is a 400 watt Einel bench grinder. This has a wire brush wheel on one side and a standard grinding wheel on the other. I did buy the 150 watt one initially thinking that that would be okay, but when I fitted a wire wheel to it and started de-rusting some of the items, literally it just ground to a halt. Just didn't have the guts, so I bought this larger one, and it has to be said, if I push too hard on that, that slows down, but it does perfectly for the jobs that I need. Little rack of tools there. The most important tool anyone can have is a vise, and I learnt that the hard way trying to use clamps. You've got to have a vise. Just down here we've got a few boxes of items. We've got again number 85 fuses, lots of bits and pieces here, bits of hand grenade and bits of shell fuse, and here we've got even more bits and pieces, stuff out of shrapnel shells, bits of drive band. And I want to pick something out of this box. I don't want it too big, and I don't want it to just be all steel and all rust. So we'll have a look here. We've got little caps there that go over, used to go over fuses, shell fuses, but it's a bit far gone, that is, and it's not going to take a lot of cleaning up, and you can destroy things like this. Ends of shell fuses, big pieces of drive band there. What's we got here? Now that is an ideal item to work on. It's mostly brass. This is a butt plate off a British Enfield rifle. You can see where the two screws have rusted and it's fallen off the rifle. There's a little flap there which I believe is that would be lifted up and is where the oil bottle would be put, but that is an ideal item to begin restoration.
Okay, we'll make a start. Needless to say, safety goggles, mask, gloves and overalls if you can, because doing this wire brushing work is very dirty and there's lots of bits of metal flying all over the place. I may not be able to speak while the noise is going on, but you'll see exactly what happened.
see there, you get it in focus, much improved. Couldn't do the back because it's concave and you can't really get that in there, but that's a good start.
What I'm going to do now is try and grind off these two rusty steel screws.
Well, after a considerable amount of drilling and hammering and at least one broken drill, I've managed to drill out both of the rusty screws. As you can see, that's nice and clean now. All that remains now is to see if we can get this little trapdoor open. It'd be nice if we could do that. Putting up a bit more of a struggle than I expected. The back of this here is there's been a lot of rust in there, and we're fighting against that now, although the actual object is brass. I've put some WD-40 on it. There you go. In there. Over time, that will loosen up nicely. It should have a little spring on the back, bit of spring steel, which is why it's corroded, which locks it open and then locks it closed. But unfortunately, that's corroded and given us a problem opening it in the first place. But there we go. Very nice. The Enfield butt plate. Now, we need to polish it up. Well, I've gone over it again with the Y wheel. That is about as good as I can get it. It's a bit rough surface. I have noticed that they're right on the end here. You won't be able to see it probably, but there is the broad arrow right on the stamped on the tip, the British government broad arrow, which shows that it's a British item. So what I'm going to do now is polish it, see if how good I can get it on the basically the nylon and the polyurethane wheels. I'll start on the coarser nylon wheel first. See, it's just started to get nice and shiny. Coming on quite nicely.
Now we move on to the polyurethane wheel. This is what we've achieved so far. Hopefully this will give it a slightly higher polish. I think there you can see the difference between the two wheels. Well, we've reached this stage now. I haven't done the back. There's no way I can do the back on these grinders, and I don't really think the back needs doing. It's probably a good indicator of what it used to look like on both sides. I'm going to give this a go with wire wool now, and just try and give it an even coat. Okay. Here we have it. Let's just give it a good buff up with this wire wool. There's going to be scratches. There's still going to be scratches on it. It's been lying in the ground for 100 years. Been churned over by the plough. Churned over by explosives during the war. We don't know how the soldier lost this rifle, but it's certainly been through a lot in its life. This butt plate. And I think, unfortunately, they don't have many markings. They don't have any markings at all on the backs of these butt plates, other than the little marking that we saw, or I tried to show you, the crow's foot broad arrow that the government stamped on it, or had stamped on it. As I say, I don't think I'm gonna do much more to the back of that. It's probably in the too difficult box, but it's not necessary. I think that shows a life. In fact, just looking at it, I think you can maybe see the broad arrow stamped in the middle of that little trapdoor. You see it. If you can't, take my word for it, it's there. So that's a Lee Enfield butt plate picked up on the battlefields of the Somme, and it's been prepared as much as I think it needs to be, and that'll go into my collection. Thank you.